Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeff Feinstein, Managing Partner of Pinnacle Partners. I welcome everyone to our webinar this afternoon. This is a very important discussion we're going to have related to affordable and workforce housing in the greater Los Angeles area. The recent fires in Los Angeles, indeed devastating, caused a great, if not acute, need for more affordable housing. And as rebuilding efforts are underway, and there's probably lots of confusion related to federal support and other matters, at Pinnacle, in partnership with Housing Diversity Corporation, we're seizing upon an opportunity we have before us to deliver on a very innovative and creative solution utilizing Opportunity Zone legislation and really kind of playbook that HDC has applied extensively throughout their portfolio to deliver more affordable housing in the Hollywood submarket. So today what we're going to do is introduce you to that offering. We're going to provide you a primer on Opportunity Zone investing, a program that's been wildly successful, expected to be extended. And we have a special guest, Jill Homan, to talk through the nuances and technicalities of that extension. We want to talk about a case study right there in downtown Los Angeles that together Pinnacle Partners and HDC have delivered on, and is a very successful example of creating more affordable housing and meeting the needs of that community with public-private support. And then we'll conclude with a review of the offering, an opportunity for anyone here in attendance today to consider investing in, obtain Opportunity Zone tax benefits while making an impact in your community. I do believe, having looked at the attendee list, this is predominantly LA residents and LA investors, some of which have invested with us previously in prior offerings. So again, my name is Jeff Feinstein, Managing Partner of Pinnacle Partners. I blew past the compliance required disclosures and disclaimers, so I'll put that on the screen. For those that don't know Pinnacle, we've been executing on the Opportunity Zone legislation since 2018. This is our fourth project with HDC. In fact, together, we pursued a project in the historic district here in Seattle, which was ultimately acquired by the local county jurisdiction. We've aggregated over 300 million of cap gains and deployed them in principally workforce housing projects throughout the US. We'll deliver close to 2,000 units of workforce housing. We're also SEC registered and noted by Novogradac to be in the upper quartile of all fund managers. This is number, I think, 19, the 19th offering that we have delivered to the market, the fourth with HDC. I'm joined here today with colleagues, again, Jill Homan, my colleague and partner of Pinnacle Partners and a leading expert on OZ legislation. Also, Brad Padden, the founder of HDC, and Craig Haveson, partner at HDC. Brad, just a quick review of HDC, please, for the audience.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jeff. And we're super excited to be partnering with Pinnacle on this project. We were big believers in Opportunity Zones when they first came out, as was Jeff and his partner Leo at Pinnacle Partners. And we've been investing into OZs throughout our portfolio in Seattle and LA. We have 11 Opportunity Zone projects that we've created. This is one of the 11 projects that we've done together. And we focus 100% on naturally occurring or principally privately financed affordable housing, naturally occurring affordable housing. It's called, predominantly to supplement what's been a lack of production of affordable housing across America. And it's most acutely felt in these coastal cities where we operate, and particularly acute in LA, especially because of the fires. So we're really excited to partner with Pinnacle on this and continue to do our good work together to help strengthen our communities and create a little opportunity for people to be a bit less rent burdened.
Thank you, Brad. Looking forward to your discussion here in just a moment. So before we get into the case study, the good work HDC has done in the offering specific, let's talk about the Opportunity Zone. You know, it's quite beneficial that this particular project in Hollywood on Hawthorne Street is in an Opportunity Zone. So we can invest for impact and earn extraordinarily compelling tax benefits. And for those that are less familiar with opportunity zone investing, the headline is you invest a capital gain, a realized capital gain, short or long term, within the last 180 days. By the way, we've got a number of investors that are now looking back into 2024 gains and applying OZ for a tax shield and mitigation strategy for 24. But if you've realized that gain or plan for a sale to realize a short or long-term gain, you can invest all or part of that gain into this offering and earn a number of benefits. Those benefits are, number one, deferral of the tax of realized from the incoming gain, the use of depreciation without recapture during the holding period, and then finally, the most compelling and compounding benefit of all is tax elimination or tax exemption on the appreciation associated with this project or the underlying real estate. Those are the three benefits enacted in 2017 as part of the Tax and Jobs Reform Act and likely to be extended under the new administration. This program has attracted, some estimate, 100 billion to 200 billion of capital gains, and you put an economic impact of 7 or 10 times on that, and you can see that it's been a significant economic driver for the development of housing. And so again, it's fortuitous. In Hollywood, there's an opportunity zone that Brad and Craig have control of, and now entitled and ready to go vertical. So I go to my colleague Jill, understanding those benefits. Maybe you can share with us, because you were at the White House last week, I learned this morning, working with policymakers. Tell us about the potentiality of the extension of the Opportunity Zone program.
Great. If I could just share maybe two thoughts, if nothing else, just remember these two thoughts. The first of which is, while I'm very optimistic about an Opportunity Zone 2.0 and having more expansive and permanent Opportunity Zone legislation, I think what we're really speaking about is something that even in the best circumstances would need to go through a regulatory process, which could take any amount of time. So my first takeaway, if I could share that, would be, if you like the current OZ program, I would encourage folks to make an investment now, and instead of holding out and waiting for 2.0. And then secondly, my other thought is I'm very encouraged about what this Opportunity Zones 2.0 could look like. And namely, what I would suggest in this order is that we have three vehicles, if you will, to reform and expand Opportunity Zones. One is through a bill that's going through reconciliation right now. So there's a debate about that right now. Secondly is through regulatory action. And thirdly, through an executive order. In the tax bill, what's happening right now is there's debates about cost and the vehicle on which, whether it's one bill or two bill would happen. I know within the Congress, who, that's obviously where the bills and that action takes place. We do have leaders in Congress that are very Opportunity Zone friendly, and that includes obviously Senator Tim Scott on the Senate side, who ushered in the first Opportunity Zones, so Opportunity Zones as part of the Tax Cut and Jobs Act in 2017. And then we also have in the House Ways and Means, House Chairman Jason Smith, who actually had a bill that he introduced one or two Congresses ago to expand Opportunity Zones and make it work a bit better in rural communities. And so the takeaway here is that we have legislators who are very versed in Opportunity Zones, see merits in expanding what we currently have in 1.0. And so the question is just what vehicle it could really be a part of. And that's the sausage making that's happening right now. The second and the third have to do more on the administration side. So we have an administration, Trump coming back as 47th president, and the 45th administration, obviously, that's when we had 1.0. But we have an administration where I would just describe it as the dream team of Opportunity Zone supporters and folks who are knowledgeable. Scott Turner, who's leading HUD as a secretary, was formerly the executive director of the White House Council on Opportunity and Revitalization. And that was an interagency council that was stood up in an executive order in 2018. And so Scott Turner was charged with really working across the agencies and ensuring all of federal government really leans into this place-based economic development tool. And so he, as HUD secretary, is well positioned to continuing championing OZs. And then you have friends and folks who are well versed in Treasury. In addition, even in the Ag Secretary is very keen to ensure that Opportunity Zones is working in rural government as well. And so, so I just go back to describing this as really the dream team in the administration. And so I think where there's opportunity in the administration is around a reform around regulations and also around an executive order. And so I'm optimistic that we could have action on one or both. And I'm very optimistic around this expansion of Opportunity Zones 2.0, including potentially extending it to non-capital gains, including expanding the map. A reform would also mean expanding the locations of the Opportunity Zones, so doing a reanalysis of where these zones are taking place, and really trying to work on compliance to ensure it works for small businesses and smaller funds. So again, my takeaway would be highly optimistic about an OZs 2.0. I think there's opportunities on executive orders and or regulation reform, and then also the takeaway, though, is all that being said, we got to go through the sausage making, go through the process of that to happen on an OZ 2.0 and extending it. So it's really, even if you like 80% of what you have with the current Opportunity Zones 1.0, I would encourage folks to, make a decision based on what we have, and then look at when OZ reform takes place, look at what the legislation and what the regulations that are promulgated from OZ 2.0 would look like in the future.
Thank you, Jill. And we're really privileged to be working so closely with Jill, and she's so involved with policymakers and influencing policymakers and has seen the text associated with the proposed legislation. Just to put a capstone on it, it's likely that the maps will shift, change. It could be that Los Angeles gets more accommodation given recent disaster, as an example. We fully expect that there'll be some other changes. It could include feeder funds can participate, maybe ordinary income can invest equally with capital gains. So more to come. If you have questions specific about Opportunity Zone tax benefits or the proposed extensions, put those in the chat. We'll try to get to those later. Jill is our special guest. Thank you, Jill, for joining us here today. And, it's a good segue then to, Jill's also done a Q&A that's available on our YouTube. But speaking about VITA, and in downtown Los Angeles, Pinnacle and HDC delivered on yet again another affordable housing solution in downtown LA. And the result has been huge impact, cooperation with local jurisdictions and the United Way of Los Angeles. Keep this case study in mind as we shift in a moment after Brad describes this in greater detail, and we talk about the next offering, really the sister project to this project. So Brad, you want to share what we did here in downtown LA?
Absolutely, Jeff. Very exciting project, very exciting location. Downtown LA had seen a really big renaissance through the 2000s and through the 2010s, specifically in the South Park neighborhood of downtown LA. And this is the area around the LA Convention Center and LA Live, where the Staples Center is. That's where a couple NBA basketball teams play and the Kings play. So an area of tremendous public investment. It has multiple metro stops that all stop within about 500 feet of this location, which is a core tenet of all of our projects. And we'll talk about that in Hollywood as well, just the proximity to transit. But essentially, our philosophy around Opportunity Zones in general is we pick what we think are, quote, the best Opportunity Zones. And what do we mean by that? What we mean is the Opportunity Zones that are adjacent to high opportunity areas. And these are actual measured census tracts that provide a measure of how much possibility for new opportunities for people that are living in these areas, for jobs, for food, for transit. And so this neighborhood in South Park in downtown LA is extremely high opportunity, yet it's still an opportunity zone census tract. So it's still a low to moderate income census tract that allows us to put the qualified capital gains into the project. Vita DTLA is 147 unit. It was designed originally as a naturally occurring affordable housing project. Now, what does that mean? It means that the units are designed to rent to people at around 50% to 60% of the area median income, which means that somebody working in a retail establishment in downtown LA, or somebody that is maybe a secretary or an admin at a local business in downtown LA could afford to live in downtown LA. Because up until now, no one's been able to build apartments that are affordable at those levels without public subsidy. And then when you get into the public subsidy, you get into the scarcity of housing choice vouchers and other issues related to tax credits. And HDC really focused on this naturally occurring affordable housing coupled with privately funded development. So we avoid a lot of that red tape. And in doing that, we have to be nimble and we have to be flexible and we have to work on creating partnerships with groups that can help make debt cheaper, bring capital in at a lower cost. Like using opportunity zones is a great example. By having the added benefit of the opportunity zone, we're able to keep rents a little bit lower for the renters, which makes a big win and a big difference in their lives. So in Vita DTLA, one of the things that was really interesting is we hit the market at a time when agencies in LA were struggling to create affordable housing with the capital A. Those are the ones that are the subsidized affordable housing. And so because we built this very flexible, nimble product because of these smaller unit sizes, the LA Homeless Services Authority came to us to do a master lease for the entire building upon completion. So this is like a new thing that's happening in LA where they say, hey, it's really expensive for us to build our own housing, but we want to partner with developers and essentially take their completed buildings and give them a master lease and then use it for affordable housing. So this was like a really innovative new strategy here at Vita DTLA that we did. A couple other points that we did on this project is we made it fully affordable, which saved us $1 million in city fees. And what does that mean, fully affordable? It means affordable to people earning up to 120% of area median income, which is over $100,000. Our small units are generally rented to people that are earning $60,000, $50,000, $80,000. So we never get up into that 120% of area median income, but we get the benefits of saving this extra $1 million. Because of our affordability also, we were able to get advantaged financing from the United Way of Greater LA, which ties directly into the project in Hollywood that we're going to be talking about in a minute. The United Way created an affordable housing fund to help keep costs down on projects like ours so we can deliver more affordable housing. This is a public-private nonprofit type partnership that enabled us to get a construction loan at 5.9%, which is several hundred basis points lower than typical construction loans in the market. And that same structure, that same loan from the United Way, is also going to be brought to bear on the Hollywood project, which is, I think, a great thing for the project, 5.9%. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But all of these things are coming together at Vita DTLA to create a very, very successful project that not just delivers financial returns, but also tremendous impact, because the city of LA was able to bring on 147 brand new affordable housing units at a cost that they just could never touch on a tax credit deal, on kind of a traditional low-income housing tax credit deal. And we bring it, like HDC brings it in all these categories you see on the screen. You know, our units are more green, they're smaller, residents use less energy, they tend not to own cars. We don't build parking, we build apartments. Adding parking actually costs every tenant in the building, could be $100 per unit per month in extra cost. So we remove that cost. We also encourage people to use mass transit. And again, we're within 500 feet of major metro stations. Our projects contribute to the local economy because our residents generally don't cook in their units. They're small. They go out into the community. They are able to kind of find everything they need within a quarter-mile or half-mile radius of our buildings because they're planted in such high opportunity areas. So we're trying to really hit on all these mega trends of sustainability, social equity, economic equity in one project. So very exciting.
So I'm a big believer in pattern matching, particularly when you have a best practice and proven execution. So that's why we refer to the case study. Anyone can visit DTLA Vita. You can see the building activated. And so we have a very, very similar opportunity in Hollywood. So Brad and Craig, why don't you walk us through 6766 Hawthorne, please?
Sure. I'll just start by saying, the building you see to the left of the rendering in the front, the light gray, is 6766 Hawthorne. This is the building that we're going to be building. To the left of it, the darker gray building is an existing building that we just completed about a year ago and leased up. It's fully occupied right now. 69 units. So this is 58 units next to the existing 69. We couldn't have a better case study to talk about because we have a case study right next door. So while we talk about our case study in downtown LA, we have a premier Hollywood right next door. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. The rendering says it all in a way. It's 7 stories, 3 stories, 2 stories of concrete, 5 stories of wood frame over the concrete. My partner, Craig Haveson, who's with us on the call, he's the owner of STS LA and STS Construction Services in Seattle. Craig, can you tell us a little bit about the building and the construction?
Yeah, thanks, Brad, for the introduction. So this is a 5/2 project, like you said. That means 5 stories of wood construction over 2 stories of concrete, and it's really what we, along with you, have been focusing on building. And it's a product type that we know very, very well. And one of the main things that I wanted to be here to talk about was a little bit about our construction process. We've been in business for 25 years now. And we have extremely outstanding relationships, not only with our subcontractors, but also with our design professionals. And what we've been able to bring to the table is really being able to fix our costs on the construction side. And that's something we brought to the table for some time, but has never been more important than through the last 5 years. As we had COVID that hit, the last project, the case study that was shown at 17 grand, we're very proud to say that we wrote a budget in 2019 before COVID, and we completed that project years later, 3 years later, after a pause because of the pandemic and trying to get the funding. We were able to complete that project in budget still. And that's really what we can bring to the table, is creative ingenuity to be able to bring the same quality product with a fixed price, and being able to bring that to the table so that investors don't have to be worried, especially now when you have all of the severe fire damage that's occurred in LA, and there's a lot of uncertainty around that market. What we can really bring to the table is certainty. We know what the project's going to cost. We know how long it's going to take. We know how to build it. And, we're really excited about this project. It's ready to go. It's shovel ready. So as soon as we get the funds in place, we're going to be right out there building it. It's going to be with the exact same team that built the premier Hollywood project, as well as the same team that built the 1317 project. And we're very experienced and seasoned in building this exact specific repeatable product to hopefully make a really big impact in the LA and surrounding areas. So Brad, I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah, great. No, this is a great shot of Premier Hollywood. This is, again, fully leased up. We try to put outdoor space wherever we can. The smaller units really benefit from the floor to ceiling windows. So all those decks you see are bolted on to the side of the building. They get fins, structural fins that go and get actually framed into the building and waterproofed and all done up right. But essentially, the lifestyle of our resident is one out in the community. They tend to use their apartment as a place to crash, a refuge to come back to maybe after work before they go to the gym. After they go to the gym, they do a quick shower, then they go out and meet their friends. Maybe they go to the, down to the library on the campus that they're at. We have the Music Institute right across the street where we have a ton of international musicians. that come from all over the world to train to be in Hollywood movies and to, you know, do Foley arts, all that kind of stuff. This is the inside of one of our units there. Again, compact studios. We're really trying to deliver something at a price point that is affordable to people earning 60 to 80% AMI. You know, would everyone like to have a much bigger apartment or home? Yes, but can you really afford one where you live, where you work, where you play? Not necessarily. In LA in particular, it's very expensive to rent an apartment. The people that are the happiest are the ones that get our apartments because they're the ones that are able to live in the community. Just across the street from this site is the Modera. And if you can go to one of the overhead, yeah, in the background there, that white building is the Modera. That's a Mill Creek project. And it's kind of, you know, cookie cutter kind of like, you know, real estate investment trust type project. Studios, $3,000, one bedrooms, $3,500. You know, we're coming in $700, $600 lower than their kind of lowest price points. Occasionally, they'll have like one really bad unit that they put on the market that might be closer to our price point, but generally that's like one or two in the whole building. The price point, the gap is huge, and there's just nothing that's serving that middle income market. And the beauty of our model is that our units will rent at the same rent level for an individual that's rent burdened and earning $70,000 as it does to somebody that has a tenant-based voucher. The tenant-based voucher, and I think I have a slide that shows the mix of vouchers in this building if you advance a slide or two. Yeah, this one here I think is really interesting. It really speaks to the flexibility of our design. We call it affordable by design. And what that means is our apartments are sized in such a way that they will rent for the same to somebody with a voucher as they do to somebody that just comes in off the street and answers an ad on apartments.com. And I think it's really like, think about that, right? Somebody is going to value this apartment the same if they either have a voucher to help them, if they don't have enough money, or this is worth it because of the great location that we're building this at. And the rents here, you can see the top line is market rents around 2,300 and various vouchers that are coming in for almost that same price point. And these are all voucher types that we have currently in the building at Premier Hollywood. This is a mixed income building. We have market rate tenants, 25 of them, and then this mix of all different types of vouchers from different programs, super flexible. And then the Vita DTLA is a master lease for the whole building, another path for us when we hit completion. So our excitement is to get a shovel in the ground to get this thing built because there's a hunger in the market for more housing production. And the market itself is really conspiring against that production, interest rates and inflation and all these other headwinds we hear about. Yet we had the devastating fires. And yet house rent burdening is bigger than it's ever been, right? So we're really trying to find that seam to continue to build at a time when a lot of other folks aren't building. And the opportunity zone benefits and the vouchers and the public-private partnerships and the nonprofit relationship. United Way is in on this deal too with a 5.9% loan. This is what's making it possible to make a project that can generate these types of returns.
Thank you, Brett. That was a great summary.
Appreciate it.
So I'm not going to be redundant because I would like each and every point is exactly why we're investing with you. This is, again, the fourth time we've partnered together, and this will be another successful delivery. So the offering is available immediately. It's actionable. Again, for those with capital gains, short or long term, realized in the past 180 days or planned for in the future, you can qualify for significant tax benefits, which are a lift to the 10 to 12% IRR represented here. That's our targeted net return before opportunity zone tax benefits. Nova Gradic, our audit partner and responsible for OZ compliance, estimates that the imputed value of OZ tax benefits is an additional 4 to 6%. That depends on your tax bracket, of course. But again, this is the aggregated value of deferral, use of depreciation without recapture, and ultimately qualifying for tax exemption. We look forward to engaging with anyone that would like to dig into the data room, get much more granular on the pro forma. We would like to answer any questions that the audience may have at this time. Please submit them in the Q&A. And as we come to close here, here's our contact details. And I think if anyone's resident and proximate to downtown LA, we offer a site visit, certainly to walk the site as pictured previously in the presentation, and then to visit the other sister project next door. No better diligence than that, in addition to extensive pro forma and underwriting analysis. Before we move to close, I think, Craig, I want to come back to you on a question that I think is ever present, which is, in a post-fire, post-disaster scenario, insurance, cost, these items are quite fluid and dynamic. But you're suggesting, you established earlier, that we can deliver on what's called a GMP, a guaranteed maximum price. Can you spend a little bit more time on that particular subject?
Yeah, absolutely. We work really hard to develop strong relationships with all of the different vendors that we work with, so that when we have a project that we're trying to get to be viable, that we have partners that are looking at it for ways that they can be a part of the solution to it as well. And by having 2 or 3 different vendors from each different category that we work with, we're able to pre-qualify them, but also give them enough work that it's worth it for them to always work with us, to be able to really fix the price on their end too. They understand that in order for projects to go in this hard time, we have to have very, very detailed drawings so that we can have very detailed quotes. And one of the ways that we've been able to really make sure that we're protecting ourselves and the investors in this time is we write a very, very detailed scope of work. And that scope of work is what each individual subcontractor is signing on to. And it's an important distinction, because we're not just going out and getting quotes from them and then signing their quotes. They're signing actually our quote that we put together. And at the bottom of it, it says, if it isn't said in here, but it's part of your scope, your trade, then you're required to accomplish it anyhow if it's in the drawing set. So through really detailed contracting, combined with these really comprehensive relationships that we've built for a long time, we're able to get to the point where we have a number that we know is going to work before we start the project. Today's marketplace in LA, I think it's going to be harder and harder for people to be able to get contractors to be able to perform work, as there's going to be a lot of new work coming into the market. But we have set relationships with folks that are going to give us priority, that are going to honor their commitments to us, and that are going to complete the work timely and as well as being on budget. And I want to bring up and touch on the timely aspect of it too, because as important as our scopes of work and the pricing on the scope of work is time. With interest being more expensive, even with United Way now than it was before, one of the other things that we really bring to the table to save the partnership money is building these quickly and efficiently, because time is money when you start building these and you get to the end of the project. And when you're navigating Los Angeles and the challenging market of all of the jurisdictions of LADWP and the other services that are there, if you're not really great at staying out in front of those, you could end up with a 3 or 4 month, 5 month delay when your building's actually ready to occupy in order to get through all of these. So it's really our experience combined with our passion that allows us to build a team that's outstanding and committed to honoring the price and time commitments that we put together.
I think it's very distinctive to see this integrated development, general contracting relationship that, again, has performed over many years on multiple projects. That is proven success. Again, this is a shovel-ready. So let's just clarify that, Brad. Permits are in hand. We can move dirt as soon as possible. And the United Way construction financing, which financing is very difficult to obtain in the past few years, that same United Way lender, the bond that United Way Los Angeles secured, is available for this project.
That's right. That's right. Yep. We're all, everyone's very excited to get started. Our supervisors for the construction project are ready to go. And this project is 100% shovel ready. We'll put a shovel in the ground as soon as we finish raising the equity.
Excellent. Well, let's come to close here. I hope we've delivered a very compelling opportunity to the audience. Again, it's a curated audience of residents and investors in Los Angeles. Describe the creative approach, the innovation being applied up and down the capital stack, And as discussed in downtown LA, master lease, which is a 5-year commitment to completely lease out the project, the property, repurposing this United Way relationship one more time for this particular project. Amongst the disaster and the need to rebuild, this project is actionable immediately, and we can start putting shovels in the ground as soon as we close on the capital. So we hope you have sufficient interest to engage with us. Take a look at our data room. Let us know if you have any other questions. We thank you for your time and attention, and have a great rest of the day. Thank you.